My name is Anna Gilmore. I work for the FSHD Society. I've been working with primarily with the chapter programs and the volunteer leadership over on that side of the house since 2018. And Frank is allowing me to sort of lurk on today's meeting. I'm very excited to participate and learn some new things.
Cool. Thanks. So, all right, I'm going to kick this off. So welcome everyone. My name is Frank Hanley, and like I said earlier, I'm in Southeast North Carolina. The only direction there that's missing is west. And I've been doing these sessions. We started this Feeling Fit program in September of 2022. I ran a few of them until other folks were able to get online and get ramped up. I am a certified Qigong instructor. I also practice Kung Fu and Tai Chi, and I use those three practices to help me in my personal fight against FSH. So I get on board for these sessions to share some of the techniques and practices that I use with others. Hopefully, you might find some of these things help you in your fight. And if not, at least to give you an idea of some other things that you can do, and maybe you'll be able to search and find some techniques and practices and exercises that work for you. So today, as promised, we're doing a special summertime edition, seeing how yesterday was the first day of summer here in the Northern Hemisphere. And it's also the first day of winter for our friends in the Southern Hemisphere. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the seasons today, and then we'll do some Qigong practice at the end of the thing. So I'm kind of moving away from my normal format where I just jump right in and start doing exercises. But anyway, like I said, I do Qigong, and Qigong is mostly breathing exercises. Kung Fu is a lot of moving to keep myself active. I'm going to talk about what's called the 5-animal and the 5-element theory today. And then, like I said, we'll do some seasonal practice, and you'll understand what that means when we get to the thing. Like I said, we've been doing this in September. We meet on the 2nd and 4th Thursdays of each month, unless there's a holiday or something, we'll shuffle around. The session is recorded, and they usually upload it to the FSHD blog, and they also get uploaded to the FSHD YouTube page. If you're not subscribed to that, you might want to, because there's a wealth of information on that page. My standard disclaimer is that I am not a medical person. I'm a patient with FSH, and I'm sharing my information, things that work for me. This is a demonstration only. You're welcome to follow along. And if you're not sure, I suggest you check with the provider and get their guidance on that. All right. With that, I will also have a PowerPoint in the background here. So I will also put my PowerPoint into a handout format if folks want it. If you want it, just leave your email in the chat, and I can get a copy of that off to you sometime in the next couple of days, all right? I also have a resources page. I'm sorry for the long-windedness here, but just to share some more information with folks. I have a resources page that I built that's got links directly instead of searching around in YouTube. So if you go to my website, frankhanley.com, there's a button there, and it'll take you to a resource page where it's got links to all of the videos that we recorded of my sessions for the FSHD Society. I also host a Facebook group called Qigong for FSHD, where I do weekly live sessions like this. This is twice a month, and I do my own live sessions once a week on that. So if you haven't heard of that and you want to join that, you're welcome to do it. Again, that's Qigong, Qigong, or FSHD. You can search that in Facebook and find it. And that's pretty much that. I'm not going to go through my full history other than that I said I am certified as a Qigong instructor. I got that in 2019. And I one test away from getting my black sash in Kung Fu. And I practice Qigong and Kung Fu pretty much daily. So those are the things that I've been, that's how I got here. Okay, so let me just do a quick, actually, let me stop there. Let me ask if there's any questions before I start. Anybody not in the right place? Now's the time to excuse yourself and jump off if you're not wanted. Okay, so let me get started, and let me just do this. So let me do my screen share. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get my mouse between two screens, and it's not cooperating today. Let me do this screen share. So like I mentioned earlier, I'm doing what's called the 5 animals and 5 elements. That's the theory that I follow. Can everybody see that, my shared screen there? So I've got the 5 animals screen up. Give me a thumbs up if you can see that. Okay, great. All right, so the 5 animals is part of the style that I practice, and it's modeled after the styles, the movements of these 5 animals. So there's the tiger, the dragon, the leopard, the snake, and the crane. And the 5 elements that pair up to that, the fire element pairs up with the tiger animal, and earth to the dragon, metal to the leopard, water to the snake, and wood to the crane. So the dark blue line is the 5 animals, and the grayish line is the 5 elements. So a lot of the techniques that we do in Kung Fu, and a lot of the philosophy and theory behind this is driven off the base of these 5 animals and the 5 elements. So to expand on that, where we are in now, there's also, we just, like I said, went into the summer. So there's a summer, there's a season that pairs up with the animal and the element, and there's a lot of things, but I'm just going to focus on these. So there's a season, and there is also a organ. So with the tiger, we're in the summer season now, so the animal is the tiger, the element is the fire, and the organ, the major organ, is the heart. And as we move through the seasons in the fall, the early fall is the dragon, earth, you have the Indian summer, and the stomach organ. The late fall or autumn is the leopard, and the metal element. Autumn is the season, and the lungs are the major organ. The winter time is the snake and the water element, and the kidneys are the organ, and then the springtime is the crane, the wood element, and the liver organ. So why am I going through all this? Well, there's a sequence to this, and the sequence looks like this. And so starting where we are now at the top, the fire element is for the summer season, and then summer moves into early fall, into the late fall, into the winter, into the spring and back. So if you follow the orange arrow and the box on the side there's a nourishing movement. There's a nourishing between the elements, and there's also a controlling between the elements. So the nourishing part is fire forms earth. Earth contains metal. Metal carries water. Water feeds wood, and wood fuels the fire. So that's the sequence of the elements, one nourishing or feeding the other one as we move through the seasons. The controlling element, which is the gray arrows in between, are fire melts metal. So we kind of go, either we jump forward to or we jump back to, depending on how you want to look at it. Metal penetrates wood. Wood separates earth. Earth absorbs water. Water cools fire. And like I said, these are the controlling elements. And there's a lot more to this, which I'm going to go into in a minute. But one of the interesting things is, like I mentioned earlier, is this thinking, this theory, this thought process is thousands of years old. I didn't make this up yesterday. This didn't come yesterday. The whole 5 elements, 5 animals theory is thousands of years old. So if you look at the water cools fire, which is the one where we are now. So what if you just put a modern day phrase to that is keep hydrated, right? So even 2,500 years ago, people were thinking in different words that water cools fire. I mean, and it's obvious to us, but I just find some of these relationships being thought out so far or so long ago are really, really interesting. So let me zoom in on one of these for you. Well, actually, this is the whole chart, okay? I just wanted to show this to you. There's a lot of detail here, and if you really want a copy of this, I'll give it to you. So there's a lot of, and Victor and I, Victor is, if you see on the thing, Victor is my, seeing Victor, he's my senior training brother in my Kung Fu school. We were talking about this morning. So I haven't really gone in figured out a lot of this, but we think the outer ring has to do with the hours of the day, and the inner ring has to do with the energy movement inside the different organs and the different vessels that feed energy into the organs. And the outer ring is perhaps the meridians, which we talked about way back in one of the other. And then these arrows are the controlling arrows. So there's interactions between most of or all of the circles. So let me zoom in on one of these. So this is the fire element. All right. So like I said, there's fire and the tiger, the 2 big things. You've got the small intestine and the large, or the heart, are the major organs. And then going around are a variety of other things. And you'll notice that down at 7 o'clock is the summer, and the color is red, and the planet is Mars. And there's a lot of relationships going on in here. I wanted to zoom in on this one because this is the current season that we're in here in the Northern Hemisphere. And one thing I found interesting when I was looking around, and to make the connection, is let's look at the wood element. So the wood element, as we're going around and looking, is, I noticed this, muscles. All right, so muscles. We all have the FSH, the muscular dystrophy. So this kind of tripped me into thinking about how does this 5 element, 5 animals play into perhaps helping muscular dystrophy. And it starting to make a little more sense to me. So what I'm thinking is, and I'm just going to jump back here, is if we are looking at the wood element being having the muscles. So what I was saying, I'm going the wrong way. So we're saying is that the water element nourishes the wood, right? Water nourishes wood, wood feeds fire. So water nourishing wood is something. So there are, like I said, techniques for in the wood element, and the what happened? Oh, my monitor just popped out. There are techniques that we practice that are called wood techniques, and I may or may not be able to do some of those today. And there's also water techniques. So if we practice wood techniques and water techniques, could that perhaps help even further along with, against, to help strengthen us against the muscular dystrophy? So more on that when I can do some more experimenting on it. But I did want to show that, again, because the seasons are changing and we're moving into summertime now. The one thing I wanted to talk about and focus on is the heart for folks up in the Northern Hemisphere, and the kidneys for the folks down in the Southern Hemisphere where it's wintertime now. So before I do that, are there any questions on what I just talked about? Is it clear? Did I try to explain it? It's hard to explain if you don't have, I've sat in on many, many classes I'm trying to understand this myself. But anybody have any question? Let me pop the chat back. I'm going to undo that. There we go. So I can come back in and see my chat now. So anybody questions? Yes, no, maybe? All right. So let's move forward. So what I've got are a couple of techniques for the heart, for practicing, and a couple of techniques for the kidneys. So you can practice along with me if you want, or you can watch the video later and do it on your own. That's perfectly fine. That's up to you. The first one is a tiger palm strike. So I don't know if you guys were on board when we did hand exercises. We did a session on hand exercises a couple months ago. And in that, I went over some hand positions. And one of those was the tiger claw, which is a position we use in Kung Fu. So what I'm going to do, and then the other one was the snake hand, which is kind of like a spear hand. But the head of the snake, we practice this technique all the time, is moving your hand without moving your arm or your wrist. So we were doing circles, and just triggering anybody's memory. We were doing circles and back and forth and up and down exercises with this, and we were doing this gripping to get those knuckles working again. So this is the tiger claw, right, and the snake. All right. And the other one, the one for the wood, if you're interested in that, is the crane. And that's the crane's beak. So this might trigger. So you put your fingers together and you make what's called a crane's beak. So the crane is pecking, right? And there's a variety of techniques for that also. But that's the one of the hand sessions, what we do, hand positions that we use for that. Anyway, I'm not going to focus on the crane too much as I'm going to do. So the tiger palm strike is an outward strike. We start, and let me push back a little bit. So again, if you're following along, I'm sitting, just real quick, let me do the seated position thing, because I like to do these seated so everybody can participate. I'm sitting in a chair that's a little higher than a regular chair, but it's not pub chair height. My knees are a little lower than my hips. My feet are flat on the floor. This chair doesn't have sides because I like to move my arms around without smashing my elbows. And I'm sitting up towards the front of the chair. If you need arms or you need to sit back because of stability issues, please do that. And do not sit in a chair with wheels. That's I say that's an accident waiting to happen. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to sit. I'm going to get on the edge of my chair here. And what we do is I'm going to start with my left. All right, so left hand is down. Let me see if I can scooch my camera a little bit. So my left hand is down here. My right hand is here. So we're going to take the right hand, and I'm going to undo this back screen because it's blurring when I move my hand. Just give me 1 second, folks. We can get rid of this background while we're doing this. Just 1 second. There we go. Is that better? Move my hand around now without. Yeah, still bad. I'm going to do none. All right. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. I just want you to be able to see without, because otherwise you get this blur going across the screen. So the right hand is going to clear, and the left hand is going to come up in that tiger, and we're twisting from the waist. So we're gonna, if you've been following along, we're going to employ a lot of the techniques that we've been you've been exposed to over the last several months. So again, we're going to load up on the left side by bringing the right hand down and across, and then the left hand comes back out again. So right hand down, left hand up, the right hand goes down, and the left hand comes up. Right hand comes down, and the left hand comes up. So this is called basically the double tiger. This is a subduing palm. So something is coming at you and you're going to block it down and then strike back. That's the technique. But the idea is to use these tiger techniques to work on your heart. Right? So we can do that to the left side, and then you can lead with that. So the left hand coming across the right is allowing the left shoulder to come to the front, give you a little twist in the hips, and then the energy comes back out from the right side. So we're actually, the strike starts in the hip and then ends when the hand extends completely out. So our left hand subdues and the right hand comes out. The right hand subdues and the left hand comes out. Okay, so left subdues, right strike, right subdues. And this is like if I was grabbing, you use that tiger claw again. If someone's arm perhaps is coming at me, I'm grabbing it and pushing it down out of the way and coming up over the top with my palm. First it's a palm strike and then the claw. Hit, claw. Hit, claw. Right? So you want to claw. Subdue, claw. And so what's happening here? We're working the hips. We're working the waist. Back and forth. Okay? So hit, subdue, hit, grab, subdue, hit. So you start with one shoulder's in front and the other shoulder ends up in front as you come across with the palm strike. So that's what we call a double tiger. Subduing, striking, grabbing, subduing, and striking. And you get a really good heart workout because there's a lot of footwork that goes along with it also that we're not going to do because simply it's easier for everyone to learn while we're sitting. All right. So again, let's a couple more. So if we're going to subdue with the right, and we're going to come across. So the right shoulder, right hand, and then the left shoulder leads. We strike from the hip, and then we end with that subduing. All right. So now, of course, because I can't get my shoulders out, I wonder why, right? Because of the stupid FSH. As far as you can, try to extend it out as far as you can. Even I know you can't hold it out there, but if you can get it out there, that's great. And also, there's a sound that goes along with this. If you're used to the old karate movies where the guys are always yelling, we have a specific sound that goes along with the tiger strike. And so, wah. That's wah. Is when you strike. Wah. Right? That's the sound that goes along with that. It comes out from the wah. Right? You always exhale as you strike. So inhale, exhale. Ooh, breathing again. How about that? So we inhale, exhale. Wah. Inhale, exhale. Wah. All right? So that's the double type. All right? So that's one. And then when you do this enough and you get, because I'm getting all warmed up here. Actually, comically, we're having horrible weather here in North Carolina. First of all, over the weekend they were doing a controlled burn. So everything was shrouded in smoke. You couldn't see down the road. And then that cleared and we've had horrible thunderstorms for the last couple of days and it's raining like crazy. So it's like dark out. So I'm talking here and it's noontime here. So anyway, so the next one, so this is, let's get the heart going. All right. And then when we want to cool down, this is a breathing technique that we do. Another hand technique is called the single finger bridge. So the single finger bridge is that tiger claw with one finger up. All right. And that's always a fun one for people to try to learn. It took me years to do it. So your hand is here, you close. So when you're closing your finger, you're bending at the first knuckle, second knuckle, you're bending at the second knuckle, and then closing that in here, right? And then what we do, that's the tiger claw, and the single finger bridge is we just leave that one finger up, right? Again, this stuff is thousands of years old. Don't ask me why. I didn't make this up. So what we're doing for the breathing is we start out with our fingers out, our single finger bridge. We inhale as we go to the side, and then we come to center and we push straight out and exhale. Inhale to the right, exhale. Inhale to the left, exhale. Inhale to the right, exhale. So these exercises start to regulate your breathing again, because as you're doing a lot of these techniques, you're going to get your heart rate up, you're going to get your breathing up. So this is an exercise that we do to bring ourselves back, to bring the heart rate down, get our breathing back and regulate it again. So anyway, hands are out in front as far as you can get them. Turn to the left as we inhale. Now, belly breathe, all right? I should have mentioned that earlier. We're not breathing through our mouth, we're breathing through our nose, in and out through the nose, and breathe with your belly. So fill your torso with air, push your diaphragm down. Inhale, and then when you exhale, pull the abs in, pull the diaphragm back up again, and empty your lungs as much as you can. All right, so inhale, breathe in. Exhale. Inhale to the right. Exhale. So even if you're worked up outside, you're outside doing stuff, and it's hot, let's get you going. Inhale, exhale. Calm you down. Do 10 or 20 of these. Brings your heart rate back down. Regulates your breathing. Inhale. Exhale. One more. Inhale. And exhale. So now we've cleansing breath. Breathe in. Diaphragm down. Fill, 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 fill. Exhale. Pull the abs in. Empty your lungs. Okay? So the next one is, so if you're in the northern hemisphere, summertime, heart organ, right? Those are two techniques, the tiger palm and the tiger breathing, that we can do to try to calm the heart fire. Okay, keep your heart protected. Exercise is meant to protect your heart in the summertime. All right, and remember, water controls fire, so don't forget to hydrate while for the summer. The other techniques for our friends in the southern hemisphere, and we can learn these now, and you can practice them also, because they're, even though we're not in the southern hemisphere, it doesn't hurt to do these, are the snake techniques. So there's a snake strike. So the snake strike is, like I said, there's the snake head, and the snake is very oily. So again, there's stance work that goes along with these. What we'll just do. So the snake is just a very sharp, penetrating technique. So you can kind of visualize what you would use this for. And if you are in a position, you don't have to, if you're on a close quarter, and you can get a lot of them out quickly. So those are the snakes. So if you want to, again, the hand is here. If you want to practice too, the hand techniques that we were doing, hold your forearm and just move your hand from side to side, loosens up the wrist. There are 6 meridians that run through the wrist. Meridians are your chi channels, and that'll keep those healthy, keep them clear, keep them free, be a good chi flow. So you can just do this back and forth, side to side, up and down, and I'm only moving my wrist at the wrist, rather. I'm not, my forearm is not engaging because I'm holding it still. So we're going side to side. We're going up and down. We can make circles, counterclockwise circle. We can make a clockwise circle, right? And then you just wanted to do it vertical also. You could do it vertically, all right? So those are some exercises so the snake head, if you can imagine your hand is the head of the snake. You want it to be flexible, but you want it to be able to get it rigid when you strike. So it's very fluid, very flexible, like a snake would be moving around in the grass. But when it needs to strike, it gets very, very rigid. Okay. So what we're doing is, what we do here is, if you hold, I've got my right hand out in front, my left hand behind it. If you want to make clockwise motions with both hands, all right, and then counterclockwise motions with both hands. All right, so I'm going to go clockwise. Now the left can go out over the right, and then the right over the left. So you can get that penetration. All right, so you want to, if you're actually in a fighting mode, you would target the throat or the eye. Right? That's what that's for. So that's why you're fluid, relaxed, and then rigid when you strike. Because a strike can go out at any time. And these could be actually also batting block and getting things out of your way until you have the opportunity to strike. So anyway, that's to one side, and I'm tending to do that because I'm a left-handed person, so my power hand is the back one. Well, if you're going the other way, left hand is in front, right hand is in the back, and you just shoot those out. Okay? So those are the snake hand techniques. All right? And again, these are good for the shoulders, the elbow, the wrist. All right? And just keeping that motion. That's the snake. Now let's do, like I said, the other the element that goes with the snake is water. So water and the organ is the kidney. So an exercise that we've done in the past that helps the kidneys is a simple twist, side to side twist. So if you're seated again, I'm at the edge of the chair, which is, a better place to be doing this. If you're standing, it's even better if you're able to stand, because standing, you're able to get more of a twist than you can when you're seated. But the idea is to twist side to side from the waist. Okay, so you want to twist. So I'm at, let's say this is 0. So when I move, I'm going to bring my left shoulder out to 12. I'm going to bring my left shoulder out to the front, my right shoulder's back, and then I'm going to turn the other way so my right shoulder is in the front. The arms don't do anything. The idea is to twist from the waist. So if you're standing, and we should show you standing real quick, because standing is a much easier way to do it. If you can see me, we're pretty well there. All right, so if you can see me here, so when you're standing, my feet are flat on the floor, shoulder width apart, and I'm just twisting from the waist. My hands come along for the ride. All right? My hands come along for the ride. And as you develop this, what you want to do is to be able to get it so you can whip your hand up. All right? So start out easy, but the object of the game is to get your waist in good shape, where you'll be able to bring your arm around, and it's not just flopping around down here. You ultimately want to try to get it up at shoulder height, right? And that's just from the twist, not from the fact that you're lifting your arm. All right, so let's just do a few of these. So I'm going to go to the right and to the left. That's 1. All right, so what I learned is to try to do these for about 5 minutes a day, this twisting, right? And if you start to twist more vigorously, then you might want to release your heel. So as I'm going to the left, I release my left heel, takes the tension off my knee, all right? And then I put it back down again. So I'm just taking the tension, because if your feet are stuck in the ground, this twisting can start to affect your knees. So we won't want that to happen. So we're just gently going side to side. And if you're seated, again, it's simply a matter of using your waist. So keep your hands out of the way and just twist. I got to get to the end of the chair from side to side. Right? Shoulder to 12 o'clock, shoulder to 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock being out in front here. All right. So that's the kidney twist. Those exercises really wake up your kidney energy, and then to kind of calm it down. And also be careful if you do a lot of these early, you wake up the next day with what you think is a sore back, but it's your kidney energy really because you just woke everything up. So be careful, maybe do a minute and work your way up to a 5-minute exercise, because sometimes you can do too much and your kidney energy just, you make it, you think it's a sore back, but it's your kidneys are kind of singing to you. If that does happen, light fists, okay, and tap the kidneys with the top of your hands, maybe 30, 60 times, multiples of 3, okay, and that's one where you're tapping. And then the other one is to take the top of your hand and rub down the back and then circle up, down, circle up. So you rub the kidneys and push in so you can kind of warm them up. All right, so those are two ways to massage your kidneys if you overdo that, or you just want to wake them up in the morning, poke them 30 times, 30 taps, wakes up your kidney energy. Kidney energy is very important, especially in the wintertime, because it's cold and you're always tight. So you want to keep your kidneys warm and you want to keep them safe. I've known people to get infections because they sit on something cold and their bum gets cold, and they end up with a kidney infection because of the cold. So it's important to keep your kidneys warm in the wintertime. Okay, questions from the gallery? I'm going to open up the floor for some discussion. If anybody has ever done any of these and they have something that perhaps they want to share, we have about 15 minutes left in our class here. That's all the material I have. So anybody has anything they want to add or share, please, unmute and join in. Thanks.
Frank, what are you doing with the breathing when you're going your side to side?
I personally, good question. So what do you do with the breathing? I usually breathe into one side and exhale to the other side. So I'm inhaling. You don't have to, but it's just, I'm just used to doing that and pairing breathing up with that. So that's what I do. It's not necessary, but if you want to, it's not going to hurt. And again, if you are doing that, then you don't want to do full-blown diaphragm breathing. You just want to do it light, because you're not going to have time to fill as you twist. You're not going to be able to do it. So it's just, breathing in again, always breathe in and out through your nose, because your nose is a filter. And your nose, it does a lot of things you're breathing through your nose does to the air before it gets into your body. And then it also regulates the amount of air you're breathing in and out. So if you're breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth, the airflow is different in and out. Or if you're breathing in and out through your nose all the time, it stays the same. One way to ensure that you remember to do that is to, as you're doing these exercises, take your tongue and put it up behind just gently tap your tip of your tongue to the roof of your mouth right behind your front teeth. And if you hold it there, then you can't open your mouth. So it's just a gentle reminder to breathe through your nose. But nose breathing is very, very important in this, because your nose is a filter, especially in the winter. There's a lot, you're enclosed. There's a lot of stuff going on in the air. There's a lot of dust. There's a lot of germs. So I see people mouth breathing all the time, and they're always clearing their throat. Pay attention to that. People are always clearing their throat. You'll notice they're mouth breathers. They're always, they're not filtering their air, and it's affecting their in the throat area here. Okay, good question. Thank you. Anyone else? No, in the chat. Let me know you're alive out there. I'll get the crickets chirping.
I imagine this thing probably helps with the core too, because I know myself, this is where I have a lot of my weaknesses in the back muscles. So I'm sure like that side to side helps with your
The side to side helps, and another one, because I have the weak core, but my weak core is in the front to back. Like I can't pick up a bag of groceries straight up, but I can pick it up from the side. So these muscles are weak in here, but the side ones, so I can't remember the name of those, are the obliques, is that it? Are not as affected. Let me say that. I don't, whether they are or not, I can't be sure. But the core here is very weak. So those twists, yes, will help that. And another one, while we're talking about it, that will help. We've done this before, real quick. Seated is just to do reach. Keep your cheeks on the seat and just reach down one side to the other to the floor to stretch these obliques out and strengthen them. You can do this in the chair. You can do this standing. And once you get comfortable doing maybe 3 sets of 10 of these, then maybe you could start using little dumbbells or water bottles or some kind of weight. And you can strengthen yourself side to side doing these is one set. And then the other one that we were doing was front to, so it was kind of a seated sit-up, if you will. So you just, we were here, put your hands on your knees if you need, so you can push off if you need to, and just exhale forward, and then inhale and sit back up straight again. So that works the back and the front, right? So you lean forward, down, exhale as you go down, inhale as you come up. And then when you get back to straight, just take your shoulders and stretch them back, all right? And then bring the shoulders back up, and then exhale on the way down. Inhale on the way up. Again, we're doing belly breathing here. When you get to 12, you get to straight, stop inhaling, and just stretch your rib cage out. And then come back to 12, and then down again. And if you really want to stretch, completely, so you're going to come all the way down, exhale till you're empty, inhale on the way back up, and then lean back a little. Lean back. So you get a little bit of a stretch in your lower back, and then come back up to 12, and then start to exhale on your way down. So you exhale down, 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 down till you're empty. Inhale on the way up. When you get to 12, stop inhaling, lean back. Come forward to 12, and then start exhaling on the way back down again. So those are 2 exercises, works the front and the back and the sides. I do those every day. Especially the side ones, because I just like getting that stretch in the morning. I don't know about you, when I get up, I'm stiff in the core right here. So between I do those front ones standing. So I bend down, I touch my toes, I come back up straight, and I lean back as far as I can. You have to be careful you don't lean back too far, because you end up losing my balance sometimes. The other thing is, of course, if you're doing some of these standing, to keep a chair close by for stability. All right. So I threw a little extra in there, but yeah, those are some core exercises that I like to do all the time. All right. The twists, 1, side bends, 2, front to back, 3. And those will keep the core in pretty good shape. And like I said, with the kidney energy is very important, because your kidneys are one of the first organs to form when there's prenatal chi, they call it, was formed in the kidneys. So when you were before you were born, while you were developing, the kidneys are the first organ to develop. And that's where your prenatal chi comes from, right? So you have, and when that chi is gone, you're not here anymore. That's the philosophy behind that whole thing with where your chi comes from. So there's 2 types of chi: that chi, the prenatal chi, and the chi that you get, your energy that you develop or you create when you eat. And again, the chi is your life energy. So you eat and you create energy, and you burn that during the day. and that's how we stay alive. And the breathing, like I like to emphasize the breathing all the time, because with the breathing, the big nut with the breathing is that I always use this story, is that if you think about how what you need to live, what you need to survive. So you need the short list is food, water, shelter, and air. And if you look at those four things, you can last how long without food? A week or two, perhaps. You can last how long without water? A few days. You can last how long without shelter? Depending on whether it's really hot or really cold, and what kind of, if you're protected or not, a few hours. If it's cold out and you're not wearing a coat, you can get hypothermia pretty quick. How long can you last without air? A couple of minutes. So I think air is pretty high up there in the food chain as far as, what we need to stay alive. So that's why I overemphasize breathing exercises all the time, because I think it's the most important thing that we have to do. And especially my story, I went to Johns Hopkins a few years ago when I was talking to my neurologist there at the MDA clinic, and we got into this conversation, and he asked me about getting headaches in the morning, if I was waking with headaches. And I said, yes, I was. And he wanted me to do a breathing test because he was thinking that perhaps the FSH was affecting my diaphragm. And I went head crazy into doing diaphragm breathing from that day on. I do it every day, because if you can't breathe, you're done. So everything else can stop. But breathing is really, really important to me. So anyway, anybody else out there? I got Rakesh, Christy, Victor. Any questions? Any comments? Please feel free. Got a couple left.
Yeah, sure. If I may. So, I mean, it's a well-known fact, right, that FSD affects the sides, not the same level. So, bottom line is you may have weakness on one more than another, or none on one side. So, how do you adjust your exercises to reflect that? So, if you're doing the twisting and say, so for my case, I'm stiffer on the right side. So if I twist on the right side, I can't really stretch that much. So how would I adjust this exercises?
So the simple answer is you do as best you can. And if that twist exercise that I did doesn't work for you, then perhaps you want to find one that might work better for you. Like I said, my presentation is what works for me. I hope it energizes people to go out and find out what works for them, because we all don't, like you said, the disease affects everybody differently. We are all not, left side affected, right leg affected, left hand affected. Everybody is different. I'm in my high end of my 60s, and I have a very mild case. I know individuals that I met through the society, they're in their 20s and they're in wheelchairs already. So it's a nasty disease, because there's no one simple thing that you can put your finger on and say, oh yeah, this is a common thing that everybody has. There is no common thing other than we all have it, right? So Mike, to answer your question is, if you like doing the twist, do the best you can, one side to the other. Maybe you'll get some strength and some more flexibility as you do them. It's like with the breathing. A lot of the people on these calls, this call specifically, as we do the belly breathing, it's hard, it hurts. Yeah, it does hurt because you're not used to doing it, number one. You don't breathe that way. You haven't done belly breathing since you were an infant. So it's difficult. You've been a chest breather most of your life. So to start breathing differently, I use the analogy of handwriting. You were not a good handwriter when you first picked up a pencil. It took a lot of practice and a lot of years and years of working over and over and over again, repeating it. And that's how this works. It's not going to be, again, the quick fix, the magic pill. That doesn't exist here, right? Did that answer your question, sir? I'm sorry. I tend to go on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Just a quick follow-up. I know we are over time. Did you say our diaphragms can be potentially affected? Is that I heard correct? It's not
a well-known thing. Like I said, that the neurologist was concerned that it was, but that turned out to be not the case. But and I don't think it's like the heart. It doesn't affect the heart. The heart is a muscle, but the FSH doesn't affect the heart. It affects a lot of these skeletal muscles more than the major muscle systems. The connectors, if you will, the connector muscles are the ones that it seems to affect more than major muscle groups. Although I do have weakness in my quad. My left quad, my whole left leg is kind of shot now, and and again, it's just from over time. I don't think it's that FSH targets the diaphragm directly, but I do know people that have diaphragm issues that have FSH. So, chicken and egg, I guess, right?
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm glad you guys enjoyed this. I'm seeing good comments. Christy, anything before we drop off? Mary, anything before we drop off?
Can I ask a question about the relationship between the seasons and the organs? Would you, your charts were so complex, sort of blew my little pea brain, but I guess I was curious whether, you kind of interpret that as, like, do you work on exercises that strengthen those organs or support those organ functions differently throughout the year, depending on the season? Or, talk to me a little more about that relationship.
Okay, so really good question. So the forms as a whole, when we do a form in our practice, it normally hits on all of those techniques that I went through. So a form, the fundamental form, hits on the dragon, the crane, the tiger, the leopard, and the snake. Across the board. So you're always exercising everything, because it's got to do with the energy in your body. It's got to do with the flow of chi. Because again, and I don't want to over confuse you, but not only are the seasons connected to the organs, but your meridians, your chi channels in your body are connected to your organs. So if you ever look into acupuncture, so Qigong is kind of like acupuncture without the needles. That's how I always describe it. There are points, and I mentioned it earlier, there are 6 meridians that run through your wrist that are connected. So the meridian terminates in your hand, like the lung meridian terminates in your thumb, and but the meridian runs up through your shoulder into your lung. And so it goes from your lung out, and that's on both sides. And then your lower organs down into your feet. So I'm getting way off your things, but we exercise them all. And then what I like to do in a particular season is to focus on the techniques that relate to that season. So like we're in and it's not overdoing it, it's protecting it, because if you overdo tiger techniques now, it can affect your heart because of the heat and everything else that's going on in the season. So you have to be aware of the interrelationships in between those. And I hope I'm answering a little bit of your question. I'd love to get into more of a conversation, but I just kind of wanted to scratch the surface with this today. So yes, to answer your question, yes, there's a great interrelationship between them. As a practice, we do them all techniques during every season. And I like to focus on techniques that are particular to a season and to an organ. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, great. Yeah, no, if you want to explore this more, please, reach out and I can talk to you more about it. I just don't want to. There's a lot to it, and it's tough to explain it in an hour. So, if you want more information, feel free to get in touch with me. That would be great. All right, is that it? Everybody good? Victor, thank you for joining. It's always
Frank, good talk. Thank you.
all right. Thanks. We'll see you next week. Anna, anything before we say goodbye?
Thank you for letting me in on your meeting today. I've got a few emails in the chat, Frank, that I'll send to you so that you can get those slides out to folks. And we'll catch up again soon.
Okay, so let me just finish up. This is my usual pitch at the end. If you're going to do this as a practice, I suggest you practice every day, 10 to 30 minutes a day. I like to practice every day. I call it a daily practice, and I do that because I do it every day. So I was doing this talk at a conference one time, and I said daily practice. I do a daily practice, and somebody said, "How often do you practice?" So what part of daily don't you get, right? So it's a daily practice. I do. If you do a little, it's better than doing none, because if you don't do any today and then you don't do any tomorrow, and pretty soon you forgot about it. So it's better to always just do a little. Again, I have a Facebook group where I kind of do the same kind of stuff, and we meet weekly. I do a weekly talk. That's Qigong for FSHD. Let me put that in the chat real quick for folks, if you want to grab that. If I can get my mouse over there. All right, that's Qigong for FSHD. That's a Facebook group. Just go to Facebook and go into groups and put Qigong for FSHD, and you'll find me. You have questions, you could reach out to me at that group. I have an email called qigongforfshd@gmail.com. You can reach me there. Anna, I've got emails here in the thing. I'll get the email to you. The next meeting is July 13th at noon. We do, like I said, we meet the second and fourth Thursday of the month. Thumbs up to everybody. Thanks for joining. Thank you, Anna, for hosting me and getting the recording figured out. I said there's always something with this Zoom thing.
Always.
Awesome. Okay, thanks, everybody. Appreciate you joining.
Thank you.